In front of you is a chart of horror franchises and their total worldwide box office. All the franchises vary in numbers and movie count. So let's play a game. Here's how it works. If a franchise can relate to the question, it gets a point. Question 1. I've had a TV series come out since 2010. Question 2. I've had a video game made about me since 2010. Question 3. I've had a movie come out since 2020. Question 4. I've had a legacy reboot or sequel. Question 5. I have new content coming in 2026. And the final question. I have a Fortnite skin. Alright, let's reveal the franchises. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, Scream, Halloween, and then there's Nightmare on Elm Street. 0 points. Yeah, 0. Every single major slasher franchise has done something in the last decade. Movies, TV shows, video games, Fortnite skins. Except Nightmare on Elm Street. No movies, no TV shows, nothing. Nightmare has been in hibernation since the abomination that was the 2010 remake. And his last on-screen appearance, the Goldbergs. The point is, Freddy Krueger has been off the grid for a long time. He's not even in our dreams anymore. It's like the plot of Freddy vs. Jason here. Has the world forgotten about this powerhouse? This huge icon? What's the deal? Where's Freddy? The year is 1984. America is booming. Movies, music, pop culture, all flourishing. And at the cusp of that year, Freddy Krueger hits the silver screen.
Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street, rated R.
Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check your local listings.
Directed by Wes Craven, the film stars Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson, our teenage final girl, and Robert Englund as the dream demon, Freddy Krueger, and also a very young Johnny Depp. Made on a shoestring budget of $1.1 to $1.8 million, A Nightmare on Elm Street went on to earn $25 million worldwide. A brand new slasher, but instead of a man in a mask, it's a man in a hat. A movie seen as good, but nothing more. Nobody had any idea what would come from Freddy Krueger. A sequel arrived just 1 year later, Nightmare 2, Freddy's Revenge. This would become the most divisive entry in the franchise. Some were confused by the broken rules, the tone, and subtext, but others embraced it. Regardless, the film made $30 million off a $3 million budget, leading to another sequel, Nightmare 3, Dream Warriors. Kicking off the Dream trilogy, the film pulled in $44.7 million worldwide on an estimated $4.5 million budget. For many fans, this became the Nightmare film, with the return of Nancy Thompson and a perfect balance in Krueger of horror and humor. And that's when Freddy stopped being just a horror icon and became a celebrity. And yes, Dawkins' Dream Warriors might be the greatest horror theme of all time. Jaws and Halloween do not compete with this. Then came The Dream Master, the highest grossing film of the original series with almost 50 million worldwide. Freddy was on top of the world. You couldn't escape him. MTV, merchandise, toys, music videos, comics. Freddy was everywhere. So much so, he even got his own TV show, Freddy's Nightmares. But in 1989, the Dream Child arrived, and the cracks started to show. With a weaker box office and less than stellar reviews, it made you question, had oversaturation finally caught up to Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, it didn't matter, because a new decade just arrived, and in 1991, Freddy was killed off, and Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. A movie meant to be the end, and honestly, it felt like it. With reviews just dismantling it, it seemed like this icon was gonna be gone. And yet, it still made money, because when your fanbase treats you like the Mickey Mouse of the 80s, you slap Final on the title of your movie and throw Alice Cooper into it, anything can happen. But one thing for certain was, the Freddy of 1984 was gone. No longer a boogeyman, but a funny man. A dead funny man. Yeah, they brought him back. But this time, no Nightmare on Elm Street. The name was dropped for Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But it became the lowest grossing Nightmare film at the time, with $19.8 million worldwide on an $8 million budget, which is a shame because this movie is brilliant and one of my personal favorites. And it also laid the blueprint and the DNA for Scream. But in 1994, that box office return felt like the final nail. Almost a decade later, we got something else. A spectacle. Freddy versus Jason. Two horror icons duking it out, way past their prime. But it didn't matter. After more than a decade in development hell, it released on August 15th, 2003. With a $30 million budget, it earned $116 million worldwide. Proof that these icons could still do numbers, but critics weren't really impressed. But honestly, who needs plot when we get shots like this? Despite doing the impossible of bringing two iconic franchises together and all the money, Freddy faded once again. With nowhere left to go, the franchise chose Plan Z, a reboot. But should they have done this? Of course not. But this remake was doomed from the very start. We retell a 30-year-old story, but the movie never tells us why. It just assumes the name is enough. The movie says, "Watch our movie," and hands us a shiny Freddy Krueger lunchbox. You open it up expecting a Little Debbie, a Capri Sun, and maybe a PB&J. But instead, you get celery, sparkling water, and melatonin. Because this movie isn't a nightmare, it's boring, and it puts you to sleep. Bad CGI, a cat-looking Freddy, no substance whatsoever, no flavor, nothing to latch onto. And you replace a character that's played for almost 30 years? It was doomed to fail before we even started. Financially, sure, it made $115 million on a $35 million budget. But looking at reviews, and that sucks. Because the modern era could offer more. More tools, more freedom, more wiggle room. But looking back, maybe it was those very limitations in 1984 that made A Nightmare on Elm Street so special. After the harsh realization that Freddy Krueger was no longer the top dog, he went into hibernation. No films, no future, just dreams. So where are we today? We're in a strange place, not because people forgot Freddy Krueger, but because no one fully controls him anymore. From the very beginning, A Nightmare on Elm Street was a team effort built on compromise. Wes Craven created the concept, the mythology, and the character of Freddy Krueger. New Line Cinema produced and distributed the film, taking on the financial risk at the time when they were still a small distributor trying to survive. The original contract gave New Line control over the franchise and sequels, while Craven had limited creative involvement. No one imagined this would become a long-running series. Craven wanted one bold, terrifying film. New Line just wanted a hit. But once the money came in, everything changed. Freddy wasn't just a movie anymore, he was a brand. Sequels followed quickly, and while Craven briefly re-entered the picture with Dream Warriors, his involvement was reduced. His darker ideas were rewritten, his creative role minimized. Freddy thrived, but his creator was slowly pushed to the margins. New Line had become the house that Freddy built, but what happens when you shut the doors on Freddy's creator? By the late 80s and early 90s, Freddy Krueger was bigger than the films themselves. For New Line, there was nothing to lose by continuing. For Craven, the heart of the story had been stretched thin. Eventually, he stepped away completely. For years, Freddy existed without Wes Craven, until New Line reached out once again. By the early 1990s, former New Line CEO Bob Shea, the man who had originally taken that big swing on Freddy, knew that tensions had lingered for nearly a decade. Creative disagreements, business frustrations, and a feeling that things had been mishandled from the start. Shea invited Craven in, and for the first time addressed the financial and accounting issues that had gone unresolved since the original film. This wasn't just about money, it was about respect, and that moment reopened the door. Wes Craven's new nightmare was different. This time, the intent was clear. If Freddy was coming back, he would come back on Craven's terms. It wasn't just another sequel, it was reconciliation. Craven didn't continue the story, he stepped outside it. He turned Freddy into a supernatural idea, a force born from storytelling itself. The film became a meditation on fear, censorship, and the cultural weight of horror itself. For the first time since 1984, Wes Craven fully reclaimed his monster. And it would also be the last time. The series would go on with 2 more movies, but Craven wasn't impressed. The 2010 remake in particular was painful. Craven would watch his own creation, his own thing, created by someone else. Wes Craven passed away in 2015. With his death, any remaining possibility of a direct creative return vanished. What remained was his legacy and the legal rights tied to it. 4 years later, in 2019, everything changed once again. Under U.S. copyright law, creators or their heirs can reclaim or renegotiate rights to works they transferred after a 35-year window, and A Nightmare on Elm Street hit that mark. The Craven estate exercised those rights, but Freddy wasn't simply taken back. Instead, the rights became split. The Craven estate gained control of the original U.S. copyright and creative influence. New Line, now under Warner Bros., retained international distribution and operational control. No single party could move forward alone. And that's why Freddy has been dormant. That legal limbo is where Freddy lives now, silent on screen, but never forgotten. And when you look at horror today, Freddy's absence stands out. Halloween has multiple new sequels, Friday the 13th is getting a TV series, Scream keeps going, Texas Chainsaw, Candyman, Evil Dead, Chucky, Alien, all revived, rebooted, or expanded. Hell, Jeepers Creepers got 2 new movies, and that series is made by a But Freddy waits. Born from fear, shaped by vision, and now trapped between legacy, ownership, and time. The nightmare isn't over, it's just paused. It's not to say there's no interest. The Hollywood Reporter asked New Line Cinema president and chief creative officer Richard Brenner if a new Elm Street film would ever see the light of day. His answer was simple: "We hope so. It's complicated because of the rights." The Craven estate has welcomed pitches. Blumhouse even took a shot at it. But Freddy still waits. In more recent years, we've seen signs of a pulse. A full Nightmare on Elm Street 4K box set released last September. Robert Englund received his Hollywood Walk of Fame star on Halloween. And Dream Warriors director Chuck Russell has publicly said he'd like to reboot the franchise, even floating out Jim Carrey as a potential Freddy. But as of 2026, that's where things stand. A character still caught in limbo. Now, it may seem impossible to revive the Springwood slasher, but if Friday the 13th can finally put Jason back on track, then there's still hope Freddy can rise from the dead. Who knows? Maybe later on throughout the year, we will receive some big news. Freddy Krueger may have faded, but he's never truly gone. He's only waiting for the next nightmare.